Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Yasti'ed, and today I'm going to be bringing you a pilot sniping tutorial. Now, I know this has been a long time coming, and for the longest of times I was actually trying to work out how to do this using my editing software, which is Sony Vegas Pro 10 to those who don't know, and actually being able to bring you something you can look at and get an idea of how I actually snipe pilots and be able to apply that to your own gameplay. So I'll cover pretty much the key points that I go by when I snipe pilots. It is kind of hard to actually teach somebody how to do it because it is kind of intuitive to me, and I basically just taught myself. But I will try to impart some of my knowledge, and hopefully this turns out to be a pretty good tutorial. So pilot sniping can pretty much be broken down into three key points. One is the bullet velocity and the helicopter velocity. The second is the angle the helicopter is at where you're trying to shoot the pilot out. And the third is your aim. Pretty much the most important factor in pilot sniping is the projectile velocity of the weapon that you're using. I'm not sure of the exact mathematics, but the way that the glass penetration works is it factors in your bullet velocity compared to the velocity of the helicopter. So basically, the slower the helicopter's moving, the less likely you're going to be able to actually get through the glass to hit the pilot, and in so facto, the higher your bullet velocity is, the more likely it is you're going to be able to hit the pilot while he's travelling at slower speeds. Now, my personal recommendation when you're first starting out is to use a precision barrel. It is the barrel that offers the most increase in bullet velocity out of all the other barrels in the game. If you are a bit more confident with doing this, you can naturally switch to other barrels. Probably the second most important aspect about pilot sniping is the actual angle that the helicopter is flying at. Now, with the Apache and the Mill, you basically have to hit a particular area of the glass for it to actually penetrate, and it's pretty much the square basically right in front of where the pilot or the gunner is sitting. So if you can actually see them in the cockpit, just imagine like a little square around their body, and that's basically where you've got it, where it's got to hit. Now, naturally, that also depends on the angle that the helicopter is flying at. So, for example, if it's 0 degrees, or the top left one here, it's incredibly unlikely you're going to be able to actually hit the pilot, or the gunner for that matter, because of the way that the little magic square of penetrable glass is. And then, as the angle increases, the actual chances of being able to hit the pilot or the gunner increase as well. This is mainly only a factor on the actual attack helicopters. The Z-11W, the Little Bird, and the transport helicopters are a lot more forgiving in where you can actually aim to be able to hit the pilot. In fact, you can also shoot through the side glass on those helicopters as well and still have a good chance of being able to hit them. Where to aim is a question that I get asked the most, and also the hardest question to answer because there really isn't a definitive answer. At best, I could give you some advice on what you should do, and that way you should be able to learn where to aim with the particular weapons that you're using. Firstly, I'd start trying to shoot at pilots who are flying directly at you dead on. That way you only have to take into account some lead time if he is climbing or descending, and can just focus more on aiming directly at the pilot and landing some shots in. As you get more comfortable with hitting them dead on, you can start trying different angles and leading your shots so the pilot pretty much just flies into them. Secondly, I'd start trying to shoot down the transport and scout helicopters before the attack choppers. This is mainly because you can penetrate the glass at more forgiving angles and can get bullets through the side glass pretty easily. Thirdly, if you're trying to snipe pilots using sniper rifles, I found that aiming a little higher than you normally would if the player was on the ground seems to help a lot with being able to hit the pilots. Even when I've given that advice to other people, that seemed to help them get more shots on target, so it does work. Fourthly, remember that each weapon handles differently with their velocities, recoil and deviation. Naturally, it's going to be a lot easier to snipe pilots with some weapons compared to others. Weapons with high bullet velocity, low recoil and low deviation are better weapons to use, especially if you're first starting out, so make sure you choose your attachments wisely, and you can always check your builds on the Play for Free Tools website. Fifthly, I recommend watching my montages and even downloading them using keepvid.com or any YouTube downloader. Then you can take your time and pay attention to where I'm actually aiming on your media player, where you can pause it and slow it down or whatnot. Also, during this tutorial, I have taken some of my random clips and slowed them down or paused them with the sniper rifles, so you can actually see where I'm aiming the moment before I take the shot. Well, that pretty much covers the advice that I can give you on how to snipe pilots. The rest really is up to you. Just remember not to get too frustrated if you're not having much luck. It took me a fair bit of practice before it became like a second nature to me. So take care, and have you Yasti'ed anyone today?